Hey everyone, this is Shivani with GoEngineer, and for today's webinar, we are going to go over all of the post-processing options in flow simulation. If you're just getting started with flow simulation or are wondering what results this program is capable of, this webinar will be useful to you. I'd like to briefly explain what I've run here. I've modeled a simple tank to represent a particle separator. This particle separator is a mixture of gas and liquid, which means I need free surface and time dependence. I've also included gravity. For fluids, I've picked methane and water, and the initial fluid in the tank is methane at 3000 psi. Initial conditions matter for time-dependent analyses. And here in the calculation control options, you'll see I set this up to run for 25 seconds. Now that's tank time. For us out here, that could be solving the calculation for a couple of minutes to a couple of hours. Alright, now that we have that cleared up, let's get into the results dropdown. Pictures are 1,000 words, so we'll start with the pretty pictures half. First, cut plots, which are a 2D layer of results. But I don't see them because they're hidden inside the tank. No problem, I can set all parts to transparent. Something else that's subtle is the shading on the cut plot. It's factoring in where lights are reflecting on the 2D plot. Turning off shading effects makes the plot true color, the same colors as the legend. Speaking of the legend, there's a lot we can do here. The top and bottom numbers can be edited or set to maximum or minimum on the plot. Double-clicking the colors lets me choose a different color palette, and right-clicking lets me separate this plot from other velocity plots in my results list. Now I can change the parameter without affecting the others. Okay, I'm going to clean this up and hit the preview here. Streamlines help us find vortices. There are two types, this detailed one or a simplified one. Vectors help us see the direction of the rotation, and we can of course adjust how many arrows and so on. Isosurface we can't really see overlaid on contours, and let me adjust these options. Okay, the borders of the values in the legend are traced with these. Finally, let's look at mesh. You can see I've edited the refinement. This is important for overall accuracy. If you remember nothing else from this presentation, remember this. Uncheck Use CAD Geometry. When unchecked, we see the mesh and model the solver actually sees during solving. We want to make sure the mesh is small enough to correctly trace the part files. Alright, cool. Moving on to surface plots. We're going to do a lot here too. Here's a quick preview. So first off, we can select all faces and plot something like velocity, maybe to predict where there might be erosion. But all the values are 0, because technically velocity is always 0 at a surface. However, we can offset the velocity just outside of the boundary layer and get a more useful result. And then many of you will have internal models like this. Using crop region, we can essentially section view the plot. Alright, last little trick, if you select parts, a new button pops up that extracts all the faces of that part. Next area, Isosurfaces. I tend to use this to help me find maxes and mins in the model. The first drop-down defines the values we'll look at, and the appearance is totally separate, but I tend to pick the same parameter. Alright, note that it failed to complete. This value doesn't exist for verticity anywhere in the model. But if I move the slider bar around until I find something that works, then I can see some results, see where that max verticity kind of is. I'll show more with a better parameter like mass fraction of water. Number of levels creates 10 separate isosurfaces between a mass fraction of 0 and 1. Now both of these results are for a single moment in time, for 25 seconds exactly. Now Transient Explorer allows for more detailed animations over the course of the calculation, or from 0 to 25 seconds. When creating a new plot, notice that the drop-down results are limited. I defined which ones would be here, and I'll show you how to edit that later. Now once we have a plot, hitting play will show us the entire detailed animation. But if you look closely, mine is jumping by 0.25 seconds. I also set that up intentionally. In the calculation control options, the Transient Explorer is an option I turned on. And this button here lets me pick which results I wanted to save over the course of the calculation. Now it's set to save every iteration, but why did it only save every quarter second? Well, here in the Solving tab, I set the time step to a manual 0.25 seconds. That's very large and not good for accuracy, but it did help me with solve time. Other Transient Explorer results without large manual time steps shows the kind of smooth animation we can get. Alright, moving on. Turning off Transient Explorer gets me access to all of my results again. And Flow Trajectories is next, but there isn't much to do. We can select any surface to start the trajectories from. Usually we pick inlets or outlets, but it's really not required. 20 is the trajectories I'll track, and they'll show up as thin pipes. I like this option for static images. For animations though, I don't like it. I prefer arrows, which will have a continuous animation. Okay, so that's the visual results. Particle studies are next. This is sort of the middle option between visual and numerical results. And first pane of the wizard is the majority of the setup. I'll select the inlet faces. Alright, next we pick how many particles we want to track. I recommend a number you can easily calculate percentages out of. Then particle size and density are the next major factors. You can of course use a custom material, and again the density is the only important parameter in that case. And then after that it's just a mass flow rate, which helps us determine accumulation over time. And then I recommend 0 for relative velocity and temperature. That way the particles act as if they've been in the fluid for a long time. Gravity is turned on by default, allowing particles to sink to the bottom of the tank. And let's put on accumulation to see where they may build up. Finally, I'm representing hard sand particles. They're more likely to bounce, so reflection is the best option. If I know how much they might change angle or lose energy, the more realistic second option would be a good choice. But after that, there's not much to adjust. I just hit next a few more times and then calculate. Showing the injection shows where the particles ended up. At a glance, I see that they all settle to the bottom of the tank. Now there are a couple of different ways to track what each individual particle is doing, and I'll show you one of the ways in a second. For now, let's continue down the list to point parameters. Any sketch point, reference point, or vertex can be used. It's a great way to represent real-life sensors. Also notice I can absolutely draw and pick these points after running the analysis. This result is the best proof I have for the fact that I have access to all of the results anywhere in the 3D volume. I say that because some programs require you to predefine what results you want to see after the calculation. Next numerical result is surface parameters. This can be any flat face, surface, or cross-section, and the min, max, average, and bulk average results across that shape. As an example, let's track the number of sand particles that landed and accumulated on this particular face. Only 6, or 6% since I ran 100 particles. The others must have landed on other faces. Alright, quickly here, volume parameters get me the same results as the others, but this time through clicking a single part file or a solid body. They tend to be most useful for temperature studies or things like that. Moving on to XY plots. This tracks data points along a curve, a sketch, or an edge. But notice this, it doesn't work for construction lines. Linear lines and sketches are totally fine, but they just have to be solid. Okay, just going to sketch in a quick random curve here. Alright, and our plot tracks data points along that line. Any of the parameters I've been looking at can be exported to Excel. Just check out your right-click options if you're wondering how to export it. Now, goal plots are late in the webinar, but one of the most common plots we look at, because they tend to be the results we care the most about. What's the maximum temperature in this part file, or the flow rate across this face? In this scenario, I've tracked a few global parameters. These data points are saved for every iteration, just like the Transient Explorer, and using history I can plot them over time. For a transient analysis, these results may never stabilize or flatten out, but in particular for this particle separator, where I expect a consistent mixture of methane and water, I see that I didn't run the study for a long enough time. I should run this for more than 25 seconds. Just notice that any of those point, surface, or volume parameters we were looking at in the results area could have been predefined as a goal for quick access later. Nearly done now. The last three options are for sharing results. The report tool uses a template from the SOLIDWORKS install, which you can absolutely modify for the defaults, and it auto-generates a Word document like this. All the setup is exported, and the words are in Latin, just to fill undertitles, and it does not auto-extract pictures. Place the cursor in the area you want to put a picture, and my tip for that is to make sure the document is attached, then show the plots in the SOLIDWORKS screen and click Insert. That cut plot now drops into wherever I'd formerly placed my cursor. Alright, animations. Earlier I've been playing the results like an animation, and I could absolutely have exported those as AVIs. However, this animation tool allows me to stack various results, turn them on and off, and so on, for a more complex animation. Additionally, the wizard lets me load in transient results using the scenario option. Each yellow diamond is a moment in time saved on my hard drive. Clicking play shows nothing. I need to pick which result I want to see. Now that doesn't look like the Transient Explorer results that I showed earlier. And hovering over these diamonds isn't immediately clarifying. Let me explain. The animation tool uses the full results, the ones where I can get any result over any point in 3D volume, and in my options I chose to save the full results every 1 second. I probably should have made that an even bigger increment to save drive space on my computer, but that would have made worse animations, like this one. When we save results like this in a transient study, we can go back to any full result that we saved out. Oh, and one more thing. I've seen this throw people off. The red circle is the record button that saves this into an AVI. The save icon, or the floppy disk, is just a file save location. Last, and honestly least used, with my customer base at least, is the export results function. This exports the mesh into a text file that could potentially be imported into another CFD program. Alright, having finished the end of the results pane and this webinar, I'm realizing there are still result options I wasn't able to show, like statistics within particle studies, or the new functionality from 2018 that's in surface parameters, or the new flux plots. There were quite a few icons that I missed too, minor options, but that's okay. We have a ton of other videos on our GoEngineer YouTube page that could help you, or feel free to reach out directly to us. We're happy to help get your questions answered. And again, this has been SOLIDWORKS Flow Simulations Post-Processing Webinar. Thanks for watching.